Right now at 5, student visas stripped away by the government. The uncertainty on Bay Area campuses and the groups fighting to protect international students. Their time in a shelter is running short. Hear this family's fight to stay off the streets.
If shelter becomes the long-term housing for people, we've lost our shelter as a resource.
And tough love coming from the city. A mandate to bring Oakland workers back to the office is now delayed.
I miss to see their faces.
We introduce you to a business owner who is counting the days. And meet 18-year-old Audrey Rose.
I really like that I can, make people happy with my voice and share my voice with others.
Who is showing us disability does not define you. She shares her gift with sports fans.
CBS News Bay Area Evening Edition with Ryan Yamamoto.
Well, we begin in the Bay Area as college students who suddenly had their visas revoked by the Trump administration. Good evening, I'm Ryan Yamamoto. The move impacting at least 6 students or recent graduates at Stanford and at UC Berkeley. Our John Ramos is at the Cal campus where some international students are now unsure if they will be allowed to stay in the country.
UC Berkeley is considered the home of the free speech movement, but the message from the Trump administration is clear. When it comes to international students, either shut up or get ready to ship out. Everyone knows about the visas being revoked, but it's not easy to find a student who's willing to talk about it. Eli Wilson and Kayan Asgarzadeh described the mood on campus.
Definitely anxious. A lot of anxiety, a lot of tension. It's scary. You don't know if you're going to be able to have the same security going into your future as you did like 2 months ago.
There's more fear. There's more like, what am I going to do when my time is up here? Or am I even going to be able to finish my time here based on how things are going?
If there was any doubt that the actions were meant to target students who participated in last year's pro-Palestinian protests, Secretary of State Marco Rubio made it pretty clear.
We have a right to deny your visa. I think it would make sense to deny your visa. We're going to err on the side of caution. We are not going to be importing activists into the United States. They're here to study. They're here to go to class. They're not here to lead activist movements that are disruptive and undermine our universities. I think it's lunacy to continue to allow them.
Point the camera around. Like, we don't see that here. We don't see that here.
Kayan says while there may be occasional demonstrations, on most days the campus is calm and the desire for heated protest has died out over the years. Now universities, especially Berkeley, face a tough dilemma. They're known as bastions of free speech and prosper from allowing foreign students in, but they also receive hundreds of millions of dollars in federal research funding. Zara Bilu heads up the Council on American Islamic Relations.
Universities have important decisions to make right now. One, about who they are and want to be in this unprecedented crisis that is facing our country and its students. And 2, if that's not motivating enough, how may this affect their bottom line if foreign students won't trust them?
At UC's, international students receive no financial aid and pay, on average, about $30,000 a year more than residents. That may seem like a reason for Cal to fear scaring off international students. But Patricia Henley, who offers admissions advice to more than 1 million foreign students, says it's unlikely that will have much of an impact on the UC system.
If there's a chilling effect where a full third of the international students wouldn't apply to the UCs wouldn't notice it. Because there's such a demand. The demand is not high, it's ferocious.
It's not something that anyone would have imagined just 3 months ago, students on a college campus being afraid to speak their minds. But if they happen to hold a student visa, Henley warns that they will have no more status than a tourist on the street.
If you're entering the country on a lawful visa, you're all held to the same standard. But yes, I would be certainly for the next, 3 years and 9 months, be very careful.
College is traditionally a place where young people learn to question their beliefs. That's still true, but now the questions are very different.
Well, UCLA has confirmed 12 of its students have had their visas revoked. No official reason has been given by the State Department for the actions taken against those students. And we're following breaking news out of Contra Costa County right now, what appears to be a shooting investigation at a McDonald's in Bay Point. Our chopper was over the large police presence outside the restaurant on Bailey Road. Crime scene tape is also up at a neighboring Chevron. We're seeing officers with their canines searching for evidence behind the building and in the parking lot focusing in on a gray car. We reached out to Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office. We will keep you posted with any additional information. Well, a roller coaster day on Wall Street today as President Trump threatened more tariffs on China. Stocks did rally at one point during the day on some whisperings that the White House may delay those reciprocal tariffs, but those rumors were quickly dispelled. In the end, the Dow closed down 350 points, slightly less than a percentage point. The Nasdaq inched higher by 15 points, while the S&P 500 was down by 11 points. But there is more uncertainty ahead. President Trump is threatening to impose additional tariffs on China after China set its own retaliatory tariffs last week on American-made products.
If that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on.
President Trump made the comments during a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. Tariffs were among the topics the two discussed, but on Capitol Hill, Democrats sounded the alarm.
I urge the president to back off before it's too late.
Goldman Sachs issued a new forecast today saying a recession has become more likely even if Trump reverses course. The reciprocal tariffs go into effect at midnight on Wednesday. Okay, let's give you a live look at our interactive heat map brought to you by FinViz, showing the stock market. The size of the box corresponds with the size of the company and the market cap. You can see Microsoft and Apple were in the red, while Google, Meta, Nvidia, and Amazon were actually in positive territory in the green. Taking a live look outside right now, the sun has returned after some scattered showers this morning and a warm-up is on the way. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan is tracking the changes.
Yeah, the current changes involve that fog rolling through the Golden Gate, making its push away from the coast. But we did have some showers this morning. Radar replay over the last 12 hours just shows the last of that activity, which quickly moved off to the east and out of the Bay Area. For the rest of the day, what we've seen is a lot of lingering cloud cover, cooler and breezy conditions, but dry weather taking hold, and that's going to last for a while. The extended forecast is rain-free now that those showers have moved out. Seeing the fog taking over the top of Salesforce Tower as we look out from the Mark Hopkins Hotel. These are the rainfall totals that we added up this morning. Just over a quarter inch in Mill Valley, just over a tenth of an inch in Santa Rosa, and otherwise the amounts were modest. Less than a tenth of an inch in San Francisco and Oakland, nothing more than a trace in Concord, and zero rainfall in San Jose. Temperatures tomorrow are still going to be running pretty close to what's normal for this time of year, but maybe a degree or two above average, into the 60s and 70s for most of the region. A much bigger warm-up is in store from tomorrow to Wednesday. Some inland temperatures up to around 80 degrees. Take a look at how long that's going to stick around coming up in the full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Paul, thank you so much. I'm Sarah Donchi with a developing story that's coming to us this afternoon out of the city of Oakland, where interim mayor Kevin Jenkins has fired almost his entire staff. Now, that move comes just over a week before the special election to choose the city's next mayor. The fired workers are holdovers from the staff of former Mayor Sheng Tao, who was recalled in November. This comes one day after we learned that Tao's former chief of staff, Lee Hansen, was let go over the weekend. Hansen had also been chief of staff for Jenkins. It all stems from some meeting notes that were included among hundreds of pages worth of documents related to the FBI investigation into former Mayor Sheng Tao. One note seemed to refer to Black people as, quote, tokens. We reached out to Hansen. She told us the notes were from a group discussion about the recall campaign's use of African-American political operative Seneca Scott as a paid spokesperson. She told us in part, quote, it was Mayor Tao and her political team's belief that this operative's paid involvement constituted tokenization by the recall's financier, and Oakland voters had a right to understand this connection. Hansen also said she regrets her shorthand note-taking was taken out of context. This morning, the Oakland NAACP, along with Seneca Scott himself, held a press conference thanking the interim mayor for firing Hansen and other staffers.
Anyone who participated in a scheme to tokenize Black people or mock Black leadership has no place working in the people and for the people of Oakland.
That's right.
Jenkins says the only members left in the mayor's office include him and 2 deputy mayors. He said it was always the intention to allow the next mayor to choose their staff after the April 15th special election. It could, though, take up to a month to certify those results. In the meantime, Jenkins and his remaining staff are supposed to submit a budget proposal by May 1st to close Oakland's $129 million budget deficit. Ryan?
Thanks, Sarah. The future of the mayor's office is not the only thing up in the air at Oakland City Hall. Today was supposed to be the day city workers returned to the office after several years of working remotely. But the city administrator has pushed back that deadline until June. Our Gareth St. Cyr spoke with a deli worker who is counting down those days.
Most of Ratto's customer base were people coming in during their lunch break, but that changed after the pandemic. Now employees are wondering if they'll ever see that foot traffic again.
Jason? Hello, how are
The
you?
lunch rush at Ratto's in downtown Oakland is more of a trickle these days.
Roast beef with extra meat and switches?
Julieta Flores works the register here, and she says Ratto's customer base was cut in half when people started working from home during the pandemic. She's looking forward to them coming back.
I miss to see their faces, how excited they were to get a sandwich especially.
But she may need to wait longer. Oakland's return to office order, which will require Union City employees to come to work 4 days a week, has been delayed until June 2nd. CBS News Bay Area obtained a memo from City Administrator Justin Johnson that says the city, workers, and unions are trying to work out a deal. It's unclear why the date was pushed back. Union members told us off camera that they plan to meet with city officials to discuss a better return to office rollout, but there isn't an exact date for when that might be. Abby Royce with the Bay Area Council says the mandate may not be the silver bullet that saves downtown businesses.
It's not a massive, figure when we think about how many people that would actually bring back to downtown. But at the same time, a lot of it is also sort of symbolic.
Like other Bay Area cities, downtown Oakland has struggled with record high office vacancy levels. The downtown vacancy rate was nearly 30%, according to recent figures from commercial real estate company CBRE.
All right.
But regardless of the return to office date, customers at Ratto's hope it goes smoothly.
Right here.
I love it. Yeah, I hope that they got more business.
I do too. I think it's good when it's like the places are crowded. It's better atmosphere for everyone.
And as for Flores, this is a temporary setback. She's confident she'll see her regulars once again.
And I'm excited. Hopefully I can see some of the customers that are not here anymore. Hopefully now that they're back, we can see their faces now.
Flores told me that Ratto's reduced their hours to stay open, and she's hoping that June 2nd will finally change that.
Well, a number of city employees actually had to return to work in person back in February. That included non-union department directors, managers, and supervisors. The closure of the former Great Highway already having a big impact. Up next, we're going to talk to drivers about what they are seeing.
We were concerned because during the pandemic, we had people flying down our street.
And tomorrow, voters in San Jose will choose a new council member to replace the disgraced Omar Torres. We'll talk to the top contenders about their vision for the Bay Area's biggest city. Plus, a clever bear is making all kinds of mischief in one California neighborhood.
I know how crafty they are. To me, they're kind of like big raccoons.
We'll hear from community members dealing with a rash of break-ins. New data suggests there's been a drastic change in traffic in San Francisco's Sunset District since the Great Highway permanently closed the cars last month. Voters approved the closure 5 months ago with the passing of Proposition K. Now, according to data from the group Streetlight, requested by the San Francisco Standard, traffic on the lower Great Highway has more than doubled during peak commute times. It also found traffic spikes on Sloat and Sunset Boulevards and 19th Avenue. One resident told us he's conflicted about those changes.
I have noticed the increase in traffic on the side streets and, with people running stop signs and whatnot. But on the flip side, I do love coming to see the park come to life.
However, visitors say they appreciate the ability to safely enjoy the area with their families.
That's why we brought them here, because there's no cars and we feel like it's safe. I mean, I feel for the for the residents here. I mean, I don't think I'd like a lot of cars going back and forth, but they do have options. But we're here to enjoy our day for spring break, huh?
The advocacy group Friends of Ocean Beach Park says the street lights findings are, quote, premature and irresponsible. They note that traffic levels are lower than pre-pandemic. While coyote pumping season is officially beginning today in the Presidio, park officials are shutting down several trails to protect the animals and people in the area. They're also reminding the public that coyotes behave differently during pumping season. If you do encounter coyotes behaving aggressively, you're asked to reach out to the Presidio Trust. Bear sightings are nothing new across the Golden State, especially if you live near a wooded area, but it's not every day you see a bear breaking into a car. Take a look at this footage from a security camera in Southern California last week. This was in the Sierra Madre neighborhood of LA County. The bear is easily able to swing the door, open it, and hop into the driver's seat, and manages to squeeze its entire body into the car and sniffs out the vehicle for any sort of food.
They learn from trial and error, just like we've learned in our lives. They go into a car and get a food reward, and so they're interested in checking the next car.
Well, the neighbor who shared the video asked to remain anonymous, but they did mention that the bear was able to break into 3 more cars. Oh, man, before leaving the area. Yeah, those cars are going to be pretty much totaled now.
Yeah.
And you can't drive that anymore.
Yeah, the claws will do a number on the upholstery of your vehicle.
And it's the smell.
There would be a funk, I would imagine.
Just a small one, right?
Just a tiny bit. Yeah, weather-wise, we're looking pretty good, actually, as we head through the next several days. I don't know if it'll be bear weather, but let's take a look at what is in store for us as we head through the first full week of April. Looking outside from Black Mountain, things are looking just fine. Some lingering clouds out there, and those are going to linger as we head through much of tonight. But more sunshine is going to break through on Tuesday, warm up just a tiny bit more than we did today. Warming trend really kicks in for Wednesday and Thursday. Those are going to be the warmest days that we see this week in the entire extended forecast. And there is no rain in sight. That little bit that skirted across the Bay Area this morning, that's all we're going to see for a while. Looking outside from Salesforce Tower, the fog is trying to swallow up the top of Salesforce Tower, but a little break allows us to see the Bay Bridge at the moment. Temperatures anywhere from the mid-50s in San Francisco to mostly mid-60s elsewhere. 64 degrees across the Bay in Oakland, 68 degrees, the warm spot right now in Concord. Again, we should see more 70s on the map by tomorrow afternoon with a little more sunshine peeking through. If you're heading out to the Giants game this evening, temperatures aren't going to change a whole lot, staying in the middle portion of the 50s as we go through the rest of this evening. They're starting a 3-game series against the Cincinnati Reds. First pitch about an hour and a half from now at 6:45, with temperatures just kind of hovering. And there's a noticeable breeze as well, so layer up appropriately if you're going to be heading out to Oracle Park. Let's check out the fog as we head through the rest of tonight. It is going to try to push away from the coast and make a little intrusion into some of the inland valleys as we go through the rest of this evening and into early tomorrow morning. Won't take too long for that fog to dissipate, but it could slow you down just a little bit on the morning commute, so allow a couple extra minutes on the way out the door. Once that fog does dissipate, though, we'll warm up to the slightly above average levels after we start off. Also slightly above average. Temperatures running about 2 or 3 degrees above normal by early tomorrow morning, which means a mix of 40s and 50s. But even the chilliest spots in the North Bay valleys staying in the middle portion of the 40s. Not that chilly for early April. And then high temperatures tomorrow, again, seeing more 70s on the map, except along the coast, you're going to be in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. Mix of 60s and 70s for the North Bay, mostly low 70s east of the Oakland Hills with temperatures around the Bay, mix of mid to upper 60s in San Francisco and Oakland, almost 70 degrees for Redwood City and Fremont. Then temperatures in the Santa Clara Valley getting up to around or just above 70 degrees. Again, it's only a couple degrees above normal, but it's the beginning of that warming trend that's really going to be more noticeable as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. And when I said there's no rain in sight, I mean there is no rain in sight. The rain chart over the next 7 days, that line is at the bottom of the chart. We're not going to see really any hint of moisture until maybe the middle of next week. Some of the long-range forecast models are hinting at that, but they're mostly outliers. The bulk of the forecast model data has been keeping us dry for the next couple of weeks, which isn't a galloping shock as we approach the middle of April, but it's going to be a little while before we see the next chance of even showers approaching the Bay Area. And here's the warm-up. Livermore is our representative for inland parts of the Bay Area. 80 degrees on Wednesday and close to that level on Thursday, and then down the other side of the temperature roller coaster. But even the coolest days are still going to bring us temperatures that are going to be near what's normal for, at that point, mid-April. So let's take a look at the 7-day forecast, and we will start along the coast where that warm-up isn't going to be as dramatic, but it will be noticeable. Temperatures Wednesday and Thursday into the low 60s, and then you're back to the upper 50s for a couple of days. The up and down pattern is not going to be too wild. We're just going to see temperatures hovering pretty close to average right along the coast. Around the bay, the warm-up is going to be more noticeable, into the low 70s Wednesday and Thursday, and then retreating to the upper 60s as we finish the work week and head into the weekend. While inland, this is where the ups and downs are most noticeable. Near 80 degrees Wednesday, and then we drop back to the low 70s by Saturday, but then upper half of the 70s for high temperatures on Sunday. Pleasantly warm for the second weekend in April. Right?
All right, thanks, Paul. Well, tomorrow, voters in San Jose will choose a replacement for disgraced councilman Omar Torres. We're going to hear from some of the top contenders about their plan for the city's future.
Our homelessness crisis is something that people are very concerned about.
Leaving people on the streets to die is not the right thing to do.
Plus, we'll hear from protesters in the East Bay trying to prevent the sweep of a homeless encampment in a high-profile location. Well, tomorrow, voters in San Jose's District 3 will pick one of these 7 people to represent them on the city council. The man who formerly held that seat, Omar Torres, has pleaded not guilty to charges of child molestation. District 3 includes parts of downtown, and we're going to hear from the 3 frontrunners first. Devin Feely introduces us to the 2 candidates with a sizable fundraising edge.
We're working to get people off of the streets. 200 people died on our streets last year alone.
Matt Quevedo is a political veteran, but a first-time candidate, having previously run successful campaigns for current Mayor Matt Mahan and his predecessor, Sam Liccardo.
Is it different when your name's on the ballot?
Absolutely. It's a different experience. The great thing is the voters are the same.
Quevedo has joined a crowded field of 7 candidates vying to become the next city council member for San Jose's District 3, finishing the term of Omar Torres, who is currently behind bars awaiting trial on charges related to the alleged sexual assault of an underage boy several decades ago. And if there is one thing on which all the candidates apparently agree, it's that restoring trust in the seat is paramount.
Trustworthiness, transparency, authenticity are things that we really see resonating with folks. And so it's important to look voters in the eye and be able to tell them what you want to do.
Gabby Chavez Lopez is a newcomer to politics, but not to civic engagement. She is the executive director of the Latina Coalition of Silicon Valley, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering and educating Latinas. The 2 candidates agree that homelessness is one of the most important issues facing the district, but strongly disagree on the best methods of tackling it.
Our homelessness crisis is something that people are very concerned about, and making sure that people are getting the resources and the response that they need.
Quevedo, who works in the mayor's office, has adopted the get tough stance of his boss, supporting a proposal under which homeless men and women who repeatedly refuse offers of assistance could be ticketed or even jailed.
The simple truth is leaving people on the streets to die is not the right thing to do.
Which candidate ultimately emerges from the shadow of the Torres scandal remains to be seen, but there will be no shortage of work for a district office that includes the downtown core and urgent issues like homelessness and economic policy post-pandemic.
To be successful in a special election, you need more than money. But it's that acronym of MORE, M-O-R-E. You need money, you need organizations, you need resources, and you need endorsements.
The 3rd frontrunner is Anthony Tordillos. He serves on the city's planning commission and is framing himself as an independent who vowed not to take outside corporate donations during his campaign.
I've talked to folks who are tired of the status quo. I've talked to folks who are tired of the impact that special interests have in our politics. I'm the only candidate rejecting corporate and lobbyist money. And I think folks are ready for a change and ready for a council member who they know will go to bat for the people of District 3 first and foremost.
Ballots have already been sent out, and you can vote by mail or in person tomorrow. Up next, we're going to meet a couple fighting to keep families off the streets, why they say San Francisco's policy on shelters is downright cruel.
Yo lo único que pido,
The only thing I ask for, that I will get the opportunity to have housing that I can pay for it.
If shelter becomes the long-term housing for people, we've lost our shelter as a resource.
And teachers in Fremont making their voices heard with a possible strike looming. Their demands plus.
I've lived in Windsor now for almost 19 years and been waiting for the train about that long. So,
we're talking to North Bay residents about the long-awaited expansion of Smart Train service, why they say it's a game changer. Right now at 5:30, a community meeting at San Francisco City Hall set to get underway to call on the mayor to end the policy of evicting families from city shelters after 90 days. That policy is designed to get families out of temporary shelters and into more permanent housing situations, but advocates worry the evictions will only put families out on the streets. Well, Lauren Tom spoke with two parents facing eviction who say finding new housing isn't so simple.
Jose and Maria walk the marbled corridors of San Francisco City Hall, hoping their voices may open a door. They fled violence in Honduras with 3 kids in tow, with hopes of a safer life. But now that hope is fading as they face eviction and life back out on the street.
We were in the streets practically. People that we met would loan us their cars so we could spend the night there.
The family of 5 is staying in a city shelter for now, facing the city's pre-pandemic policy of eviction after a 90-day stay. The city also offers 2 30-day extensions, which Jose and Maria have already been granted. Now they could be back out on the street by Thursday, and that reality has taken a physical toll.
My husband almost collapsed. They had to take him to the emergency room because he had low oxygen.
According to a 2024 count by the city, there were more than 400 unhoused families, nearly double the count in 2022. Maria and Jose say they're eager to move out of a shelter and into permanent housing. But in San Francisco, the high rent prices make that goal nearly impossible on his wages as a sanitation worker with no line of credit.
The only thing I ask for, that I will get the opportunity to have housing that I can pay for it.
Their message has reached city leaders, including Board of Supervisors President Raphael Mandelman, but he says shelters must remain a temporary resource.
There's more than 300 families who do not have shelter, who are on the shelter waiting list. And so if shelter becomes the long-term housing for people, we've lost our shelter as a resource. One of the things that I think is worth considering is that after this policy first went into effect, the rate of getting folks out, families out of shelter and into permanent supportive housing significantly increased.
But Supervisor Jackie Fielder has introduced legislation to rescind the 90-day policy.
The premise of this policy is that families do not have the motivation and are the problem, where they're actually facing real systemic barriers like any regular person would. Finding housing in the Bay Area is finding affordable housing.
For Jose and Maria, the next few days are crucial.
More than anything, it's the health of my children. That's what gives me strength, because there was no help in my country, and that's why I'm here.
Waiting not just for housing, but for stability in the place they now call home.
Well, the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing issued a statement saying it understands the path to housing can be challenging for families, but, quote, our goal is to keep individuals and families processing through the system, providing the resources and assistance they need to achieve long-term housing stability. Oakland City crews working to clear out a homeless encampment along Lake Merrick were met with protesters today. They used heavy equipment and machinery to clear out the underpass lined with tents. Advocates are calling for an end to the sweep, saying that they are harmful.
And the people that sweep us don't understand is this is our shelters, this is our homes. So when you come and smash, when you take our belongings, you leave us to start from the beginning again.
City leaders are also planning to shut down Peralta Park near the lake to add trees and new fencing. It is home to more than a dozen people. The city says it will offer shelter for those who will be displaced. Fremont teachers are rallying outside of a crucial meeting between the district and union leaders. A fact-finding hearing could determine if 2,000 teachers and the Fremont Unified School District go on strike. The union wants smaller class sizes, a salary increase, and health benefit contributions. Educators tell us teachers need to have a livable wage.
Fremont does not offer health care to our educators, and so making sure that we are being able to open that door to get health care and give them sustainable living wages so that they stay in Fremont, so they stay here, they teach their students, and then they watch them graduate at the end of the day.
We reached out to the district for comment and said they are hopeful to reach an agreement in today's fact-finding session, but cannot comment anymore due to the confidential nature of the hearing. The Fremont School District has more than 30,000 students. For nearly 2 decades, people living in parts of the North Bay have been eagerly awaiting expansion of the SMART train network. Now that dream is about to become a reality.
It's going to be great for the small businesses downtown. We have a lot of shops, restaurants. They're going to benefit it.
And we'll meet a remarkable Bay Area woman with a golden voice or inspirational message to people living with a disability. Well, just a stunning discovery at a Tesla supercharger station. This was in Sunnyvale. At least 8 cables have been cut from the stations, and the police are now investigating this as a theft. A line of cones blocked off this row at Target and in the side their parking lot. The police believes that the thieves were targeting the copper inside those cables. We saw a Tesla worker bring in new cables and install them. No word on any suspects. People in the North Bay thrilled to hear a sound from the distant past this weekend, a train pulling into the station. Well, it's been several decades since rail service has extended up to the northern parts of Sonoma County. But as John Ramos reports, the testing and imminent arrival of the smart commuter train has one town abuzz with excitement.
There was a time when people rode a pair of steel rails to the North Bay communities rather than a ribbon of asphalt.
This town was literally built as a railroad stop, right? Where we are classically was the railroad was right here.
Tim Zahner has looked forward to the return of the train to his town, but it has required an unexpected amount of patience.
Yeah, I've lived in Windsor now for almost 19 years and been waiting for the train about that long, so yeah.
The system began operation in 2017, but it hasn't always been a smooth ride. Along the way, there's been a major lawsuit, a global pandemic, and a rejection by voters of a sales tax extension. But now, Zahner isn't the only one excited to hear the clanging of the crossing gates and the blaring horn as the SMART trains rumble back and forth from Santa Rosa to Windsor, testing the system.
We're testing all the signal, the crossings, the positive train control. This is a period of testing that's going to take the entire month of April. And what was special about this weekend is that with the onset of systems testing, we had the first SMART trains rolling into the town of Windsor, through the roundabout, into the new station. It was very exciting.
The rail line was sold to voters as a way to connect workers to the Larkspur Ferry and on to San Francisco. But the farther north you go, the more people see it as a means of connecting the small towns, possibly for work, but also for entertainment.
This is, I think, going to be really helpful, having the SMART train. People from Santa Rosa, Petaluma, Roanoke Park can come up, come hear music, get on the train, go back home.
It's going to be great for the small businesses downtown. We have a lot of shops, restaurants. They're going to benefit it.
The new station will only be a block from the Windsor Green, a spacious city park adjacent to a quaint downtown shopping and dining area. That's where Robert Nieto chose to open Fleur Sauvage, a shop featuring artistic truffles and gorgeous chocolate sculptures.
Yeah, you know, when we first moved in here, we saw all the construction, and I was like, when is this really happening? And finally, we're just like, oh my God, it's here. It's like, it was just like yesterday, like it had just started, like the build of it, and now it's just like running, and so we're really excited about it.
There are high hopes about what the train may mean for Windsor, and those are shared by Healdsburg, the next city up the line waiting for its service. But Zahner has a word of advice for them.
Don't hold your breath for that, yeah.
What, Healdsburg?
Healdsburg, yeah. That's the next step. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
You doubt that it's going to?
Oh no, it'll go to Healdsburg, but I just think it's you know, like I said, when I moved here 19 years ago, they said the train's coming, and so it's how much time you want to wait, perhaps.
The final stop in the line is supposed to be Cloverdale, and years ago they built a train station which has sat empty. Smart says it will eventually reach the town, but at its current pace, it may feel like a long time for anyone holding their breath.
Up next at 5, communities across the country are picking up the pieces after getting a season's worth of rain in just a few days. The deadly impact.
I don't think people were ready.
Violent storms have turned deadly all across southern and central U.S. At least 24 people have died across 7 states since last Wednesday. Severe thunderstorms, flooding, and tornadoes caused officials in Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky to declare a state of emergency.
I've seen homes underwater that have never had water.
Got a lot of water and a lot more to go.
Officials warn nearly 22 million people are still in danger. The National Weather Service expects more showers to move along the East Coast tonight. Okay, let's check in with Paul. A little bit more mild, although I was a bit surprised to see the streets all wet this morning.
Yeah, you had to be up pretty early to see the rain, but the leftover puddles were out there for folks who maybe slipped in a little bit later on this Monday morning.
It was refreshing, though.
Yeah, enough to kind of hopefully wash a little pollen out of the atmosphere. Temporarily.
Yeah.
That's not going to last long.
I've been sneezing, man.
It's going to be a problem. Let's take a look at the big picture perspective here, and we'll look at the satellite view from space. We're looking at plenty of clouds still hanging out over the west coast, but the storm system driving all of this is way off to our northwest. It's going to help to push that cloud cover a little farther away from the Bay Area as we head through tomorrow. Some more sunshine overhead. Temperatures climbing just a little bit more. We were near or very slightly below average for highs today. Should be near or slightly above average tomorrow before the really big warm up kicks in on Wednesday. Let's take a look at the big monitor here and look at the current temperatures as we look out from the Mark Hopkins Hotel. The low cloud cover and fog rolling away from the coast and starting to swallow up Salesforce Tower. Temperature in the city is only 56 degrees. The marine layer definitely having an influence there. Everybody else is still in the mid to upper 60s. Again, cooler than where we were over the weekend, but not bad for early April. And temperatures tonight with that fog and low cloud cover becoming more widespread, going to be slow to drop off. Let's track the fog first. And Futurecast shows quite a bit of it as we head through this evening and into tomorrow morning. Could have an impact on the morning commute, maybe slowing that down just a little bit. Shouldn't last too long, though, and our temperatures will warm up after the fog dissipates, which should happen by mid-morning for most of us, may take until about midday along the coast. Temperatures tonight only dropping down to a mix of 40s and 50s, 2 or 3 degrees above normal by early tomorrow morning, 51 degrees in San Jose, only in the 40s in Livermore, but upper 40s as opposed to the upper 30s that you had late last week. Even the coolest spots in the North Bay Valley is only dipping down into the mid-40s, 44 degrees in Healdsburg to begin the day on Tuesday, and then temperatures will warm up more than they did today. We're almost all in the 60s for highs today. We're going to see more of a mix of 60s and 70s, except at the coast. That's where you're going to top out in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. Mid to upper 60s in San Francisco and Oakland. A mix of 60s and 70s for the North Bay and low 70s east of the Oakland Hills and in the Santa Clara Valley tomorrow afternoon. So as the temperatures warm up, as I mentioned, the pollen count is going to go up. Let's take a look at that pollen forecast. We're going to be back into the medium high category for tomorrow and then into the highest category Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. It is mulberry, oak, and ash as the top 3 types of pollen, but there is all sorts of plant stuff floating around in the atmosphere. If you're sensitive to any of it, you're going to know about it as we head through the rest of this week. And there's no rain really in sight to wash any of that out of the atmosphere. A dry 7-day forecast, and even beyond that, the 6 to 10-day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center shows a drier than normal pattern, and the 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us well past the midpoint of April, also shows a drier than normal outlook all the way past, again, April 20th. Past Easter weekend, in fact, and above normal temperatures go hand in hand with that dry pattern. So this is going to be a long stretch of dry April weather, which this time of year, we're starting to get past the time when we expect numerous rain chances, but usually April brings at least a few here and there. We'll see what maybe the latter half of the month decides to send our way. Here's a 7-day forecast. Along the coast, you have some minor little ups and downs to our temperatures, but really only a 4-degree spread between the coolest and warmest days. It does look like Friday's going to bring a little more substantial cloud cover to the coast, but nothing falling out of those clouds. Maybe just a little bit of drizzle condensing on a few surfaces here and there. Temperatures around the bay, a bit more variability, but again, only a 6-degree difference between the coolest day on Saturday and the warmest day on Wednesday. Wednesday will be the warmest for the entire Bay Area. That's when temperatures inland have a better chance of topping out around 80 degrees. Then we drop back a little bit as we finish the work week and head into the weekend. But all in all, this is a pleasant 7-day forecast. We'll keep looking for that next hint of a shower chance, even if it's going to be pretty far down the line. Ryan?
All right, thanks, Paul. Well, up next, we'll meet the inspiring Bay Area singer proving no obstacle is too big to overcome.
If someone like me who's blind
who has a heart condition can do it, that anyone can do it.
Live look at Chase Center in San Francisco. You'll soon be able to watch the Golden State Valkyries. Pre-sale for single game tickets for the new WNBA team, that starts tomorrow. They are available for the general public on Wednesday at 5 p.m. You can get them on Valkyries.com. The first preseason game is May 6th, with the season starting on the 16th. And remember, CBS News Bay Area is the official broadcast partner for the Valkyries. We'll take you behind the scenes and bring you the games all season. Meanwhile, another celebrity is throwing support behind the Oakland Ballers. Actor Blair Underwood is the latest celeb to join the team's ownership group. The Emmy Award winner joins rapper Too Short and Green Day frontman Billy Joe Armstrong as celebrity investors. But unlike those two, Underwood is not actually from the Bay Area. He told us he has family in the area, does some business and charity work here. But what attracted him to the Ballers was how the team's owners are getting the fans involved.
If something happens financially, that's icing on the cake. But I'm more excited about the fact that it's such a community forward-facing opportunity for the people that live in Oakland.
Right now, the team is looking for fans to invest. Last year, their investment drive raised more than $1.2 million. Underwood said he thinks the Ballers could help Oakland shed its bad rap.
I know the city has contributed much more than what you hear about. And it's a time, I think, in the city's history where there can be change made.
The Ballers' second season gets underway May 20th at Raimondi Park in West Oakland. And turning to football, the Bay Area Panthers are shining a spotlight on people living with disability, including 18-year-old Audrey Rose Walker. Audrey was born without eyes, but she has been blessed in other ways. Amanda Harry caught up with her as she prepared to take center stage.
For many people, singing the national anthem in front of a stadium full of people would be intimidating. But for Audrey Rose Walker of Campbell, it's a fun privilege.
I was really excited. I couldn't stop talking about it.
Walker was born with a severe heart condition and bilateral anosmia, the absence of eyeballs. Doctors told her parents she may not survive childbirth. If she did, her life expectancy would only be a few years. But after several life-saving surgeries, she's here, able to take center stage.
You know, if someone like me who's blind, who has a heart condition can do it, that anyone can do it.
Walker has a special connection to football. She discovered her ability to sing when she was at a fundraiser with former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick. She was just 7 years old, and they asked her to sing just for fun.
It's when I figured out I could sing. I was like, oh, everybody was like, wow, we didn't know.
She had no training, just a finely tuned ear. She then went on to sing the national anthem when she was just 9 years old before a 49ers game. Her dad, Jim, says seeing her success makes him emotional.
Well, I cry every time.
He says when she was diagnosed, he questioned what her life would look like.
Something that's on my mind a lot. What is she going to do? 70% or more of blind people never work. So what was my little baby going to be able to do?
But now, between her singing and her second dream of becoming a Spanish language teacher, she has a path and a purpose.
I'm just relieved that she has at least two options that she can turn to make a living and be a positive and constructive member of society.
She's 18 years old and will graduate high school, then attend West Valley Community College in the fall. It's one of many accomplishments she's excited about, as well as this opportunity to sing the national anthem before the Bay Area Panthers game. After her performance was over, she could tell she had made an influence on the crowd.
You know, being blind, you have to kind of compensate for your other senses, so I pay attention a lot to feel. I could hear everyone cheering, you know, and saying good job and everything, and when people came up to me and wanted to congratulate me, I really like that I can, you know, make people happy with my voice and share my voice with others.
Showing people you can make a difference without sight.
Amazing story and amazing voice. Well, thanks for joining us. Remember, we're always streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app. Have a great night.